So McCartney's through, he might go for it, still going, trying to barge his way through, goes to the shot, what a goal!
Arriving, Rian O'Neill from an almost impossible angle, and that's the rousing score now we're looking for.
Conor Turbitt kicks this one in, that's absolutely superb.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our review show, and we're rounding up all the championship action that happened this week. Like last week's format, we're going to look at the senior games, the Friday games first, then we'll look at Saturdays and finish with Sundays, and by the end of the podcast we'll also have the playoff draw as well, so we'll know who faces off next weekend in the junior, intermediate and senior playoffs. But starting with Friday night, and Madden booked their spot in the last 8 of the senior championship despite losing the league champions Clonerne. Madden, Clonerne and Mahary all finished with 4 points, with Madden claiming top spot via score difference, and we'll discuss that a bit more when we look at the league tables. So Conor Grimley, assisted by his cousin Niall, got things up and running on Friday night with a point before a left-footed effort from Barry McCambridge tied things up. Emmett McGee nudged the hosts ahead, while Oisin O'Hara leveled things up once again for Madden. Adam Kelly grabbed his first before Conor Grimley slotted home from the spot to give his side a 2-point lead. Conor and Owen Grimley landed scores, and they were matched at the other end by Aidan McConville and Conan O'Carroll to see the half-time score 1-4 to 0-5 in favour of Madden. Clonerne pushed back into contention right at the start of the second half as they opened the proceedings with a goal. A long ball in from Sean McCarthy was gathered by Daniel McGee, who fired the ball low and hard into the bottom corner. Declan Mullen swapped scores with Conor Grimley, as did midfielder Conor McConville. On a second from McConville put them Clonerne 2 points in front at the end of the third quarter. There was a prolonged period of scoreless action, but Niall Smith did get the final point of the night for Madden, and that saw a 1-point difference in the end, with Clonerne holding on to a 1-8 to 1-7 victory. So on the other game on Friday night, there was the other game in the group, of course, Mahary. They travelled the short distance to St Peter's in Lurgan and for the final round of that group. And Mahary picked up a 7-point victory with a 2-11 to 1-7 victory in the end. 2 goals from Kevin Robinson and Aidan Falker, split by the half-time whistle, were the key scores for the Lochshore men. Robinson's major had the visiting side ahead by 6 points at the halfway stage, with the scoreboard reading Mahary 1-6, St Peter's 0-3. Aidan Falker, Armagh's All-Ireland winning captain, added a second 3-pointer in the second half as he punched the ball past the keeper and into the back of the net. St Peter's also hit their own goal after the turnaround, with it looked like an own goal from a Mahary defender, and that ultimately left the score 2-11 to 1-7 at full time. So as I'd mentioned, this group was slightly complicated, and maybe calculators were needed on Friday night just to work out the positionings of the top 3 teams. St Peter's losing all 3 games, obviously they crash out of the championship at the earliest stage, while Madden top the group. They top the group and go straight into the quarterfinals, while Clonerne finished second, so they're going to play a third place team from another group, and Mahary, they finished third and they'll play a second place team from a different group as well. So basically the way this group worked out, because the top 3 teams finished on the same points, Madden, Clonerne and Mahary all finished on 4 points, it become a mini league, with the St Peter's results becoming irrelevant. So it's not overall score difference, it's the score difference between the games between Madden, Clonerne and Mahary. So the key results in this league that decided where everybody stood was Madden beat Mahary by 2 points, Mahary beat Clonerne by 1 point, and Clonerne beat Madden by 1 point. So the score difference at the end of those games were Madden +1, Clonerne 0, and Mahari on -1. So that's pretty much how that all worked out. So that was Friday's senior action. In the intermediate, there was 2 games as well, and St Paul's recorded their 3rd victory of the intermediate championship and that put them through to the last 8. The Lurgan men had already chalked up wins over Whitecross and Tiernanog in the group, and they made it 3 from 3 on Friday night. The defeat sees Shane O'Neill's finish in 3rd position behind Whitecross, who come 2nd. Paul O'Rourke swooped over a score from a tight angle to kickstart proceedings before Owen McConville levelled matters on Friday evening. Rory O'Brien pointed a free, and that was a 12th minute score, and incredibly that was the final score of the first half for Shane O'Neill's. The home side kicked on with 7 unanswered scores as McConville brace put them in front by 1. Shea Conway and Owen McConville both hit 2 points apiece before captain Niall McCory swung over his first of the game, and that gave his side a 0-8-0-2 half-time advantage. Sean Toman slotted over a mark right at the start of the second half as St Paul's grew their lead immediately. But a fantastic goal from All-Ireland winner Conor Mackin offered the cameramen a real lifeline in the second half. O'Brien, who finished with 0-6 on the night, swapped scores with Andrew Mernon and Owen McGill, with 4 the difference heading into the final quarter. 2 more from O'Brien were split by Owen McConville before an Aidan Conlon point left 2 the difference at full time. Sorry, that left 2 the difference. And then a 6th point from O'Brien left it a 1-point game, but again it was McGill who scored the last score, and that made it a 2-point game at the end of the game. So Whitecross, in the other game in this group, they backed up their 1-point win over Shane O'Neill's last week with a 0-12-0-9 victory over Tiernanog. Just 1 point separated the sides at half-time, with Whitecross leading 0-4-0-3. They pushed on in the second half, led by Cal McSherry, and Tiernanog, who were without their All-Ireland winner, Oisin Connaughton, just had enough to keep with them in the end. So that table, as it stands then, is St Paul's are through to the last 8. They top the group with 3 wins from 3 and finishing 6 points. Whitecross are in 2nd place, and they'll play a 3rd place team from a different group. Shane O'Neill's finished 3rd and will play a 2nd team from a different group in the playoffs, while Tiernanog, they crash out of the championship, finishing bottom of the table. So on to Saturday's action now, and again we'll start with the senior championship. Mullabon secured their spot in 2nd place of Group D as they saw off Ballymacnab by 7 points. The sides were tied at half time, but a second half surge from the home side saw them over the line. Ballymacnab opened the scoring in the opening couple of minutes with a pointed mark from Kieran Hughes. Mullabon replied with an Eddie English free before Jack Bennett buried the ball into the back of the Ballymacnab net. Mullabon stretched their lead with a Nell Loy free, which was quickly cancelled out at the other end by another mark from Hughes. Joe McCann and Ryan Waters traded scores before Finian Maguire cut the deficit to just 2 points. Ballymacnab then shot in front when Daniel O'Toole blasted the ball to the net, and that was followed up by another score from Maguire. Eddie English and Nell Loy both split the posts to leave the sides level at half-time 1-5 apiece. The Nab hit the net early in the second period, with O'Toole punching the ball to the bottom corner of the Mullabon net. Mullabon took control from there, however, and they rattled off 1-8 on the bounce to charge ahead. Eddie English kick-started the scoring spree for the home side, and he slotted over his 3rd of the game. Fergal O'Brien and Martin McKinley scored to tie things up before Park Mackin put his side 1 point ahead. McKinley landed a second 45 before Nell Loy grabbed a second 3-pointer from Mullabon to make 5 the difference. English, McCann and Pierce Quinn all fired over, while Aaron Hughes claimed the final score of the day for Ballymacnab, and that left the final score 2-13 to 2-6 in favour of Mullabon. Armagh Harps experienced a comfortable 119 to 112 victory at home to Drummondtee in a game that didn't really matter in the end. The Harps had already qualified for the last 8 with top spots secured, while Drummondtee were already out of the championship. A first half goal from James Walsh, who finished with 1-5, helped the Harps into a commanding 1-11 to 0-4 lead at half time. Gareth Martin grabbed a second half goal for Drummond with 7, the difference between the teams in the end. So how that table finished, the Harps, before the last round of action, had already qualified for the quarterfinals, so they topped the group. Mullabon claimed second spot on 4 points, and they'll play a third place team from a different group, while Ballymacnabb are in third place and they'll play a second place team from a different group, and Drummond are out of the championship. So the intermediate action from Saturday, then Derrynoosh picked up a 6-point victory over Clonmore on Saturday to confirm their second place in the group. Goals either side of the half-time interval were the key scores for Derrynoosh. Oisin McNally landed the first major for his side, while Fabio Moreira hit the net in the second half. Clonmore also raised the green flag for themselves after the turnaround. Conor McNally traded points with the opposition early on before Oisin McNally landed the first goal of the day. Conor McNally then hit 3 on the bounce, with 2 of those scores coming from frees. Sean Lennon extended the Derrynoosh lead with his first score of the day, while Moreira traded scores with Clonmore just before half-time as Derrynoosh led 1-6 to 0-2 at the break. Clonmore started the second half brightly as they clipped over the first 2 scores of the second period, but Lennon grabbed a second point before Clonmore scored a penalty to bring themselves right back into the game. Conor McNally landed another free before Fabio Moreira rattled home a goal to make it a 7-point game once again. Clonmore kept battling and swung over another 2 scores, but they were matched at the other end by McNally. Clonmore chipped in with the final score of the game, leaving 6 the difference in the end, 2-10 to 1-7. And that result sees Derrynoosh advance to the playoffs in second position, while Clonmore exit the championship. Pearse Oaks claimed top spot in Group C as they picked up a third victory on the trot over Allochmore. Having already saw off Derrynoosh and Clonmore, the Oaks made it 3 from 3 as they picked up a 2-11 to 0-10 victory, with Michael McSorley and Anto Duffy getting goals for the Oaks. So how that group finished then, the Oaks, obviously they are through to the quarterfinals of the Intermediate Championship with 3 wins from 3. Derrynoosh are in second and will play a third place team from a different group. Allochmore finished third and will play a second team from a different group, while Clonmore exit the championship. So that's all Friday and Saturday's action. We'll be back in part 2 and we'll have all the action from Sunday as well as the draw for the playoffs. So be back soon. So on to Sunday's action then, and Crossmaglen picked up their first win of the senior championship as they squeezed past Sarsfields by 3 points. The sides were evenly matched throughout, with the Rangers just getting over the line in the end. Having lost to Clonagale on the opening day of the campaign, Cross bounced back with a round 2 win. Cross will now face Grainmore in the final round next week, while Sarsfields, who lost to Grainmore in round 1, take on Clans away from home next week. Kevin McAleenan got things up and running inside the first few seconds of this game, while Stephen Morris levelled things up. Nell Kerr and Owen Kieran swapped scores, as did Cian McConville and Eamon McGowan. McConville fired over a free before Sarsfields levelled things up with Thomas McAlinden. Ronan Fitzpatrick saw his point matched by Eamon McGowan before Aaron O'Neill and Cian McConville put the visitors 2 points ahead. Paul McGowan and Thomas McAlinden both struck scores to get the home side back on level terms, and things finished 0-7 apiece at half-time. McConville grabbed another to put his side ahead once again, but Sarsfields replied through Michael Stevenson. Cian McConville and Stephen Morris slotted over 2 scores before Paul McGowan pulled one back for the High Moss men. Caelan Comusky and Thomas McAlinden cancelled each other out at either end of the field before McConville landed another 2 scores, and McAlinden traded scores with Aaron O'Neill to finish the scoring for the day, with Cross ahead 14-11. So that's Group B at this stage. Of course, there's a final round of fixtures to be played next weekend. Grainmore take on Cross. They travel to Crossmaglen next week, while Clonagale hosts Sarsfields. Clonagale can't be caught. They're at the top of the group, and they're into the quarterfinals. Grainmore and Cross will be playing for second and third place. Into Group A then, and Clevie leapfrogged Silverbridge in Group A to claim second place with a 4-point victory. A second half goal from Keown McConville was the key score for Clevie. Tiernan Murphy opened the scoring for Silverbridge and rattled off the first 3 scores, all coming from frees. A fisted effort from Niall McGuinness was Clevie's first point, and that came after 17 minutes. A quick-fire double from Adam Garvey and Ronan McGuinness got Stephen McDonald's men back on level terms. Murphy edged the home side back in front when his effort on goal was palmed over the bar by Clevie netminder Shane McGill. Kieran O'Hanlon bust through the Silverbridge rear yard to get his name on the score sheet, while Cahill Boylan rattled off the final score of the opening half to give Clevie a 5-4 lead at the break. Aaron Duffy levelled the game at the start of the second half before Clevie grabbed the game's first goal and only goal. Micheál McNamee's punched effort was saved by Daniel McKeown, but the rebound failed Keown McConville, who fired the ball to the net. Clevie substitute Aaron McGuinness hit 2 points after coming into the fray, and they were matched at the other end by Mark Rowland and Park Keaton. Shane McGill landed a long-range free before pulling off 2 sublime saves to keep his clean sheet intact. Pete Carraher and Tiernan Murphy kept Silverbridge in touch before McGill kicked over his second free. Clevie captured a short kick out from that score, and Micheál McNamee pointed his first of the game to give his side a 4-point win, and McGill saved a penalty from Tiernan Murphy late in the game, which was the icing on the cake for Clevie. Also in that group, All-Ireland intermediate champions Cullyhanna secured their spot in the quarterfinals as they saw off Cullaville, who had already been knocked out of the championship before Sunday's action. Cullyhanna led by 1-8 to 1-3 at half-time, with Paddy Shane McKeever and Dara Quinn grabbing the goals, while Cullaville hit a second major after the turnaround through Fergal Trainer, but it wasn't enough for them to get something out of the game. So the Group A table then, Cullyhanna top the group and they go straight through to the last 8. Clevie comes second, Silverbridge are third, and Cullaville crash out of the championship, finishing bottom of the group. On to Sunday's intermediate action then, and Katie earned a 2-point win over Grange to secure second spot in Group B, and that means Grange will fall into third position. Katie were comfortably ahead by 7 points with 10 minutes remaining, but Grange came back into the contest and got it back to a 1-point game later on, but just couldn't grab an equaliser. Grange got off to a flying start and kicked the first 3 scores, with Dara Mullen, Brandon Raverty and Ethan Raverty all raising white flags. Katie got up and running on the 10th minute with a Ryan Donnelly effort before both sides were reduced to 14 men. William McAleese and Oisin Keenan received red cards, while Grange's Sean Toll was also sent off late in the game. Grange were forced to play with 13 players for the final 10 minutes of the opening half when Owen Raverty was shown a black card, and Katie took full advantage as they outscored their opponent 7-3 for the remainder of the half. James O'Hara and Ethan Raverty both swung over 2 scores apiece, while Conor Hughes pointed for the hosts. Ryan Donnelly levelled the game before his younger brother Kieran put Katie ahead for the first time. Dara Mullen got Grange back on level terms, but Katie finished the half strongly, with O'Hara and Kieran Donnelly both claiming scores to put their side 8-6 up at half time. Points from Ethan Raverty and Ronan Mullen levelled things at the start of the second half, while Kieran Donnelly and Owen Hughes swapped scores. Katie stormed ahead then through Shea Harvey and James O'Hara before a goal from Finn McGee put them 5 ahead. Dara Mullen and Conor Ranahan cancelled each other out, while a brace of scores from James O'Hara made 7 the difference. A fantastic individual Ethan Raverty goal from about 20 yards out offered Chris Raverty's side some hope. Ryan Donnelly and Dara Mullen then swapped scores, while points from Ronan and Dara Mullen reduced the gap to 2. Raverty almost grabbed a second goal, but a fine save from Matthew Nugent kept Katie ahead. Owen Raverty did split the post from a long-range free to make it a 1-point game in injury time, but O'Hara fisted over his 7th of the day to secure victory for Katie. Wolf Tones had already wrapped up top spot before Sunday's action, but they finished off the group stages in style with a 4-11 to 3-10 win over Cross Seconds. Owen McGee, Dara Green, Keelan Skelton and Matthew Hagan all raised green flags for the Tones, while Johnny Murtagh hit 2-6 for Cross, and Paddy Kelly also grabbed a goal for the Rangers. So the league table in Group B then, Wolfe Tones advanced to the quarterfinals. At the top of the group, Katy finished second, Grange come third, and Cross seconds, crash out of the championship. Group D then, Caircruppan overcame Tullysarn on home turf to finish the round robin series at the top of their group. 2 goals were the key for Barry Flynn's men, with a goal coming in each half. Danger man Owen Keane both rattled the net on both occasions, and the result sees Tullysarn finish in second place, while Clonard seconds came third. Tullysarn made much the brighter start with the opening 3 scores of the game, as Gavin Conlon claimed a brace, while Kieran Mullen also split the posts. Ben Matthews got the hosts up and running, but his effort was matched at the other end by Gavin Conlon. Owen Keane and Ethan Kearney cancelled each other out, as did Woods and Mullen, before Ross Flynn raised a white flag. Owen Keane and Gavin Conlon swapped scores again before Owen Keane fired home the first goal of the game. Ben Matthews and Connor Sloan, along with 2 from Adam Aaron Anderson, grew the gap to 5 for Caircruppan. Tullysarn pulled 2 back before the break, with Matthew Kiernan and Kieran Mullen scoring to see the half-time score read 1-9 to 0-9 in favour of Caircruppan. Mark McKeever and Conlon traded scores with Matthew and Woods before Keane grabbed Cruppan's second goal in the second half. McKeever pulled one back from a free, but that was matched at the other end by Brian Waters. Owen Keane and Brian Waters grew the Cruppan lead, while another substitute, Sean Waters, got in on the scoring act. Cornerback Ross McGee fisted over the final score of the game to see Cruppan 10 ahead at full time. Elsewhere in that group, a hat-trick of goals from Rogan McVeigh helped Clonard seconds earn their first win of the campaign. Last year's junior championship winners overcame Blake by 1 point, 3-10 to 2-12. So that leaves that group as Caircruppan, the front runners. They head into the quarterfinals. Tullysarn finished in second place, Clonard seconds are in third place, and Blake crash out of the championship. There were 2 junior championship games that took place on Sunday as well, and Fork Hill finished the group stages off in style as they captured a 15-point win over on Portmore in a top-of-the-table clash, with Jamar Hall racking up 2-6 and Colin McGill hitting 1-4. St. Peter's also secured their spot in the playoffs as they picked up a 6-14 to 1-4 win over Madden seconds. So the playoffs next week then, these games are set to take place. The junior championship playoffs are as follows. It's on Portmore against Thomas Davis. Middletown kick on Redmond O'Hanlon's. Erog face St. Peter's seconds, while the Summon, they take on Clevie seconds. And as I mentioned, those games will be played next weekend. The intermediate playoffs will also be played next weekend, and those ties are as follows. Whitecross take on the Grange. Katy meet Clonard in seconds. Derrynoosa face Shane O'Neill's, while Tullysarn take on Allochmore. The senior championship playoffs then, Clevie will meet whoever finishes in third position in Group B. Whoever finishes in second position in Group B will meet Silverbridge. Those 2 games will be played in 2 weeks' time because Group B still has to finish next week. But 2 playoff games will be played next week, and that's Clonard against Ballymcnab, while Mahary take on Mullabone in the playoffs as well. So that's all the action for this weekend. That was round 3 of the group stages, and the group stages are now over, apart from that senior championship Group B fixtures coming on next week. That's Crossmaglen against Greenmore and Clonagale against Sarsfields. So it's into knockout football now, and we'll be all across that as usual next weekend. Make sure to keep an eye out for our team of the week, our top scorers charts, and that will be released in the coming days. Interviews from all this weekend's action, and then heading into our previews and our preview podcast next week, looking ahead to another big weekend of championship football. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll be back on Thursday with another podcast. Make sure to tune in.
Summon Hurlins through, he might go for it, still going, trying to barge his way through, goes to the spot, what a goal!
driving. Rian O'Neill from an almost impossible angle, and that's the rousing score now we're looking for.
Conor Turbitt kicks this one in. Oh, that's absolutely superb.